Welcome back to Kubernetes Deep Dive. This is chapter 9, the last chapter of this series, and I have to tell you, this is the chapter I've been most excited to teach. In chapter 8, we mastered scaling and resource management. Today is about making Kubernetes ready for the real world. And the real world is messy. It has security threats, developers who accidentally break things, and updates that need to happen without waking anyone up at 3 a.m. We're covering role based access control, network policies, security contexts, rolling updates and rollbacks, blue, green, and canary deployments, namespace organization, and we'll touch on observability and GitOps. That's a lot. But here's the beautiful thing, these concepts all connect. Once you understand the philosophy behind production readiness, every piece clicks into place. Let's dive in. Before we touch any YAML, imagine a large office building housing multiple companies. A software startup on floor 3, an accounting firm on floor 7, building management in the basement. Should the intern at the startup be able to walk into the accounting firm's offices? Obviously not. Should a delivery person access the server room? Definitely not. So, how does the building handle this? Access cards. Everyone gets a card that determines exactly where they can go. This is exactly how RBAC works in Kubernetes. It determines who can do what and where. But the building has more than access cards. Even on the right floor, you can't walk into every office. Doors have locks. This is what network policies do. Just because a pod is in the cluster doesn't mean it can talk to every other pod. Now imagine the building needs renovations. You don't shut down the whole building. You renovate one floor at a time while people keep working. If something goes wrong, you can restore that floor. This is exactly how rolling updates work. And finally, imagine every change requires formal blueprints stored in a secure vault, requiring review and approval. That's GitOps. Your cluster's desired state lives in Git. Keep this building in mind as we go through each concept. RBAC answers one simple question: who is allowed to do what? RBAC has four key components. Subjects are the who, users, groups, or service accounts. Resources are the what, pods, deployments, secrets. Verbs are the actions: get, list, create, update, delete. Roles are the glue, saying this set of verbs is allowed on this set of resources. Roles come in two flavors. A role is namespace scoped, only applying within a specific namespace. A cluster role is cluster wide. Once you have a role, role bindings and cluster role bindings connected to subjects. A role binding says this subject gets this role in this namespace. For example, say junior developer Alex should view pods in development but not touch production. You create a role allowing get, list, and watch on pods, then bind Alex to it. Alex can view pods in development, but deleting pods or accessing production, access denied. This is the principle of least privilege. Give people exactly the permissions they need, nothing more. By default, Kubernetes is completely open. Any pod can talk to any other pod. Fine for learning, terrible for production. Network policies define rules about traffic flow. They have three main sections: the pod selector, which pods the policy applies to, ingress rules, who can send traffic in, and egress rules, where pods can send traffic out. Here's the crucial thing: once you apply any network policy to a pod, that pod switches from default allow to default deny for that direction. Real scenario: you have front end, back end, and database pods. Without policies, a compromised front end could attack the database directly. With policies, the front end can only talk to the back end can talk to both front end and database, and the database only accepts connections from the back end. A compromised front end can't reach the database. They've hit a locked door. Security contexts define privilege and access control for pods or containers. You can specify which user the container runs as. Many images run as root by default, bad idea. You can make the follow step read only. You can prevent privilege escalation. You can drop Linux capabilities. Kubernetes has pod security standards at 3 levels. Privilege has no restrictions. Use only when absolutely necessary. Baseline prevents known privilege escalations and is the minimum for production. Restricted is the most hardened, requiring non root users, read only file tips, and minimal capabilities. You can enforce these at the namespace level with labels. When you update a deployment, Kubernetes doesn't delete all old pods at once. It gradually replaces them, creates a new pod, waits for it to be healthy, terminates an old one, repeats. Control this with max unavailable, how many pods can be down, and max search, how many extra pods during updates. What if your new version has a bug? Kubernetes maintains rollout history. One command rolls back to the previous version. Even better, if new pods fail readiness probes, Kubernetes won't continue the rollout. It pauses, giving you time to investigate. I've seen this save teams from disasters. Bad deployment goes out, new pods fail health checks, rollout stalls at 20%, team rolls back, users barely notice. Blue green and canary strategies. Blue green deployment maintains two identical environments. Deploy to the idle one, test thoroughly, then switch traffic instantly. If something goes wrong, switch back. The downside, double the infrastructure. Canary deployments release to a small percentage of users first, maybe 5%. Monitor closely. If things look good, gradually increase to 100%. If something goes wrong, you've only affected a small percentage. Both strategies can be implemented with services and pod labeling or more sophisticated service meshes like Istio. Namespace organization namespaces are your primary tool for organization and isolation, like flows in our building. Common patterns include namespaces per environment, development, staging, production, or per team. Many organizations combine these. Namespaces give you resource isolation through quotas, access control through RBAC, network isolation through policies, and cleaner organization. Important note, namespaces aren't a security boundary alone. A compromised pod could affect others without proper RBAC and network policies. Namespaces are one layer of defense in depth. Observability basics: you can't secure what you can't see. Observability has three pillars: logs record events. In production, use centralized logging like the EFK stack or Loki with Grafana. Metrics are numerical measurements over time. Prometheus is the standard, with Grafana for visualization. Traces follow requests through multiple services. Tools like Jaeger provide distributed tracing. Monitor at minimum pod health and restarts, resource usage versus limits, error rates, response latency, and Kubernetes events. Set up alerts. Don't wait for users to tell you something's broken. Git becomes the single source of truth for your cluster's desired state. Every configuration lives in Git. Changes happen through pull requests with review and automated checks. Benefits include audit trails, consistency, easy recovery, and collaboration through normal code review. Tools like Argo CD and Flux watch your repository and automatically sync your cluster. If someone makes manual changes, these tools detect the drift and can revert it. Hands on exercise overview. Let's put this together. We'll create namespaces for dev and prod, set up RBAC, configure network policies, perform a rolling update with rollback, and set up basic monitoring. The code is on screen, pause whenever needed. We create four namespaces: development, production, monitoring, and database. We add labels describing their purpose and set the pod security standard on production to restrict it. Any pod trying elevated privileges will be rejected automatically. We create a role in development, allowing developers full access to pods, deployments, and services. In production, developers can only get and list resources, no modifications. For operations, a cluster role grants broader permissions across namespaces. Role bindings connect these to user groups. Now, if someone in the developers group tries to delete a production pod, they get access denied. When testing RBAC, remember you might have cluster admin access that bypasses restrictions. Use kubectls impersonation flag to verify policies work correctly. Configuring network policies. Our network policy selects database pods and allows ingress only from backend pods on port 5432. Another policy for backend pods allows ingress from frontend and the ingress controller, with egress only to database and external HTTPS services. A common mistake: forgetting DNS. Allow traffic to kube system on port 53, or pods can't resolve service names. The configuration includes this exception. Performing rolling updates, our deployment sets max unavailable to 0 and max surge to 1, ensuring zero downtime. Readiness probes are critical. Kubernetes won't send traffic to pods until they pass. Deploy version 1, then update to version 2. Watch Kubernetes create new pods, wait for readiness, terminate old pods gradually, now simulate a bad deployment with a failing image. Kubernetes creates the new pod, but it never becomes ready. The rollout stalls, your old pods keep serving traffic. One command rolls back, within seconds, you're fully healthy again. This is why health checks and rolling updates together are so powerful. Deploy Prometheus for metrics and Grafana for visualization. Prometheus gets RBAC permissions to scrape metrics cluster wide. Configuration tells it to discover pods with the prometheus.io/scrape annotation. Grafana connects to Prometheus and displays dashboards showing CPU, memory restarts, and network traffic. Perform a rolling update while watching the dashboard. You'll see new pods appear, traffic shift, old pods disappear, your deployment in real time, RBAC controlling access, network policies preventing unauthorized communication, deployment strategies with rollback capability, and monitoring showing everything in action. This is production readiness, multiple layers working together. Companies like Spotify, Shopify, and Airbnb use these exact patterns. Their clusters are larger, but the principles are identical. Three key takeaways. First, security is layered, not singular. RBAC, network policies, and security context work together. No single feature makes you secure. Defense in depth is the strategy. Second, safe deployments require health checks and rollback capability. Rolling updates with readiness probes mean bad deployments don't take down your application. Always know how to roll back. Third, observability isn't optional. You cannot manage what you cannot see. Build it in from the start. Remember, production readiness is about preparing for things to go wrong. Security limits blast radius. Safe updates let you recover quickly. Observability lets you detect problems early. For more advanced subjects, explore advanced patterns, operators, and custom resources, stateful workloads, and multi cluster architectures. This is where Kubernetes becomes a true platform for sophisticated distributed systems. Before moving on, complete the hands on exercise, actually deploy those network policies. Watch a rollback happen. The concepts stick better when you've typed the commands yourself. If this helped you, hit like and subscribe, drop questions or experiences in the comments. I read them all. Thank you for learning with me. You're well on your way to running real production Kubernetes clusters. See you in the next learning.